It's time for the NordCast here on WOBL, and here's your host, Nord Center CEO Don Schiffbauer.
All right. Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome back to the NordCast. My name is Don Schiffbauer, and this is our fourth episode of our NordCast. And my role at the Nord Center is their Chief Executive Officer. And for those of you that aren't familiar with our agency, we are situated, our main office is at the intersection of Middle Ridge and Route 2. We are a community behavioral health agency serving all of Lorain County, and we've got a footprint in Huron County. We have 5 service lines. We provide behavioral health services for adults, child and adolescent. We are the center for the county for sexual assault services and rape crisis for both children and adults. We are the largest provider of residential services for people with severe or persistent mental illness. And then we also have a 24/7 crisis services in the form of a hotline. We are the recipient for the 988. 988 is the National Suicide and Prevention and Behavioral Health Crisis Hotline. If you dial 988 anywhere in the country, you will be connected to a hotline center that is available to help support you in times of need. And today's episode, we are going to be not only talking about behavioral health and mental health, but we're going to talk about co-occurring diagnosis. And you may ask, what is co-occurring diagnosis? Co-occurring diagnosis will be those people within our community that suffer from both mental illness as well as substance use disorder. And not only do we highlight the services at our agency, but we also want to highlight and give examples of the strong partnerships that we have with communities in our county. And that includes the Licata Way, who is here today to help talk to us about the dual diagnosis. And we do that because when we collaborate with agencies within our community, we're able to collaborate and center the care around you. So as I stated, today we're going to be talking about dual diagnosis, and some of the questions we're going to be asking are, what is the diagnosis of a co-occurring disorder? Does mental illness cause substance abuse, or does substance abuse cause mental illness? What are the treatment programs that we have available? The challenges in treating people with dual diagnosis, and how family and friends, because not only do we have the clients or the community members that may be suffering from these diseases, but they also have with them family and friends that are working to deal with the disease and the impact it has on their relationships. The other thing is, because of how our systems in behavioral health care are organized in the United States, oftentimes mental illness and substance use disorder treatment are treated in silos. They're treated by different organizations. They're treated by different personnel. They're treated in even different locations. And we know that it can make it difficult for people to know where and when to seek those services. The good thing, or the really great thing about the partnership between the Nord Center and Licata Way is that we recognize that treating both substance use disorder and mental health disorder or diseases in a person that is suffering from both of them leads to better outcomes for the person that is suffering from diseases, and also supports better outcomes for the family and friends that are supporting them as well. But enough of me talking about how we're going to talk about dual diagnosis here. What I do have is I have a couple of experts here with me. Dr. Yvette Clemons and Sabrina Jones are intertwined in both of these diseases and the benefits of integrated or whole person treatment, and they're going to talk to us about the resources available right here in our community. But before we get into that, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Get on board. The water is open. It's time to go boating and fishing and leave stress in our wake. Feel the wind as we ride and a fish on the line. Reel in our first catch and feel the sun at our backs. It's get out on the water season. It's time to get on board. Find out where to get on board near you. Visit Take Me Fishing and Discover Boating to learn more. And please recreate responsibly.
Get on board. Get on board.
Now, we tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Family dinners, game nights, and holiday parties. It all happens at home. June is Home Ownership Month, and the Ohio Housing Finance Agency, Departments of Commerce and Insurance, want to help Ohioans realize the dream of home ownership. Visit myohiohome.org for more information on how to find a real estate agent, down payment assistance, and more. If you're ready to buy a home, help is available. Visit myohiohome.org. Home ownership. Make it a part of your future. Sponsored by the Ohio Housing Finance Agency and aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
All right, welcome back, everybody. My name is Don Schiffbauer, and I am your host for today's NordCast. And we're going to kick it over to one of our guests to talk or do a deeper dive into the dual diagnosis of mental illness and substance use disorder. And with that, I'd like to introduce our first guest, Dr. Yvette Clemons. Dr. Yvette Clemons is our Chief Quality Officer at the Nord Center, and that's about as much as I'm going to tell you about her. I'm going to let her tell you about her. Hi, Dr. Clemons.
Thanks for joining us today. As the Chief Quality Officer of the Nord Center, some of my responsibilities are to review the policies and procedures that support the organization, that support our staff, but most importantly, support our clients. Sometimes policies and procedures prevent access to services, and we are mindful to examine those to ensure that they don't present as a barrier for them to receive services at the Nord Center. Great question, Dawn.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to lead it off with another great question. So to start us off, Dr. Clemons, can you tell our listeners what dual diagnosis or co-occurring diagnosis are? Co-occurring disorder, excuse me.
Okay, so that's also another great question. And our families, at the time of intake, they also ask that question. Well, what do you mean we only came here for a substance use assessment or a mental health assessment? And we will share with the families that your loved one has a dual diagnosis. So dual means two, so that means they have two different diagnoses going on. So it could be alcohol use disorder plus depression. It could be schizophrenic plus generalized anxiety or opiate use disorder. So it's two diagnoses going on.
So if you think about it, the occurrence or reality that somebody can be suffering from depression as well as substance use disorder is really no different than somebody that might be have the diabetes and high blood pressure or COPD or congestive heart failure. And one of the things that we're doing at the Nord Center in Licata Way is to raise awareness about the need for parity or the utilization of resources that is the same for physical medicine as well as behavioral health. So going back to mental health, so how does substance use disorder impact mental health?
I can give you some examples of families that I've treated over the last 23 years. Sometimes if you have a mental health disorder such as schizophrenia, and it could be very frightening, you may begin to use alcohol in order to deal with those voices or seeing things. And when you come to the Nord Center or Licata Way, you will begin to receive education because alcohol is a depressant in and of itself. So you're not really coping with it or dealing appropriately with it. So it's best to just come in. We try our best to decrease stigma. A lot of people are afraid to come into our doors, either because of family or friends, but we welcome you just to take that first step and we'll help you the rest of the way.
Wow. So it sounds like we're really talking about things that are taking place within one person that might affect the whole person's health. Under what circumstances might a person learn that they have a diagnosis of both mental illness and substance use disorder. So maybe signs and symptoms or situations that may lead up to that.
Let's see. Let's say that you are using alcohol, which we just learned is a depressant, and then you go through a treatment program and you're no longer using alcohol, but you still feel depressed. But wait, stop. I no longer drink. So what's going on? So you will receive a further evaluation. And depression can be caused genetically. It could be caused by a traumatic event. It could be caused by environmental factors. So just going that extra step, coming into the office, getting some help, or better yet, just some education can help you figure out what is the next step. Is it just mental health? Is it co-occurring? Is it just SUD? And we will help guide you through each one of those stages and land on either one or both and figure out the best treatment program for you. It's not cookie cutter at all. We work with you holistically to figure out what's going on to get you the next best step.
Well, Dr. Clemons, I appreciate you shedding some light on that topic. And when we come back from our break, we're going to talk with our next guest, Sabrina Jones from the Licata Way, and we're going to dive deeper into dual diagnosis and substance use disorder. So stick around. We'll be right back.
If you have Ohio Medicaid, you need to act now. All Medicaid members are required to renew their health coverage. If you are no longer eligible, trained navigators can help for free. Call Get Covered Ohio at 833-628-4467 or visit getcoveredohio.org. This project is supported by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services as part of a financial assistance award totaling $2.33 million with 100% funding by CMS/HHS and do not necessarily represent the official views of the U.S. government. Sponsored by the Ohio Association of Food Banks, aired by OAB and the station.
When will the danger become crystal clear? When you read another statistic? When it happens to your neighbor? When your family is shattered? When will you finally take action? Don't let another family's life fall to pieces due to the dangers of unsafe railroad crossings. Report bad railroad crossings at angelsontrack.org. That's angelsontrack.org. Because bad crossings kill good drivers. Sponsored by Angels on Track, aired by OAB and the station.
Ohio loves to gamble, but this is one bet you will never win. Ohio doesn't require gates and flashing lights at every crossing, so drivers are at risk. Statistics show that gates and lights together prevent more train-car accidents than stop signs or crossbucks alone. Please approach all crossings with caution and report bad railroad crossings at angelsontrack.org. That's angelsontrack.org. Because bad crossings kill good drivers. Sponsored by Angels on Track, aired by OAB and this station.
What is your healing power? Helping veterans with PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, depression, anxiety, or loneliness? Is your healing power a simple, heartfelt letter or being a volunteer? At healvets.org, you can find out more about the healing power of pen pals, volunteers, and therapy kits. Help Heal Veterans has been helping veterans heal. What is your healing power? Find out at healvets.org, sponsored by Help Heal Veterans.
All right, and we are back for our second segment, and with our next guest, Sabrina Jones. Sabrina Jones is the Chief Clinical Officer at the Licata Way. But first, I'd like to start off with some exciting news that I've mentioned in a few other podcasts. You can sign up today for the Nord Center's first ever Mind Over Miles 5K and 1 mile family fun run. It's going to be at the Burr Oak Reservation in Elyria. There will be runners, there will be walkers, and your business can even help by being a sponsor. Learn more by visiting the Nord Center's website at nordcenter.org/mindovermiles. Well, we welcome our second guest, Sabrina Jones. But Sabrina, before we get back into dual diagnosis, I'd like you to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the agency that you work for, the Licata Way.
Okay, thank you, Don, and thank you for having me today. Am I okay? Okay. First of all, as Don said, I'm the Chief Clinical Officer for the Licata Way. I've been with the agency for 21 years. We are a primarily substance abuse agency, but we do have a small mental health department, which I'll talk a little bit about when I talk about how we handle clients with dual diagnosis. We have several outpatient programs in Lorain County, Erie County, and Cuyahoga County. We have a residential program for women in Lorain over on East 32nd Street. And we do a gamut of services. We do from day treatment, IOP, aftercare, and like I said, our only residential program is through the women.
And IOP stands for?
Intensive Outpatient Treatment.
So is that, outpatient treatment, so intensive, so it's a few hours a day, every day?
Intensive outpatient treatment is at least 9 hours a week.
Okay.
And it's usually done over a 3 days a week. Day treatment is done every day of the week, Monday through Friday.
Got it. Well, I'll tell you, us at the Nord Center, we really enjoy working with the Licata Way and being able to provide comprehensive treatment to all of the people that come through our doors. But I want to talk specifically about how your agency treats those with co-occurring diagnosis.
Okay. Our AOD clinicians primarily treat, as I said, substance abuse disorders, and our mental health team addresses the mental health. The great thing about it is we address both of them at the same time. So when our clients come in and are assessed, and the assessor realizes that they have, as the doctor earlier said, 2 diagnoses, then our alcohol and drug counselor makes a referral, generates a referral to our mental health team. And so they actually attend both substance abuse treatment and mental health treatment at the same time.
And I understand that sometimes our agencies will refer clients to one another because sometimes the substance use disorder services that we may provide at the Nord Center might not be comprehensive enough to or compare to the substance use disorder services and vice versa.
And vice versa, exactly. Vice versa. And that was what I was getting ready to say. There are clients that we get that have mental health issues beyond what we can treat. And that's where our great partner, the Nord Center, comes in. And we refer those clients over there for their mental health treatment because Nord does actually have a dual diagnosis group.
Okay. So we've heard some treatment options for those suffering from dual diagnosis. What I'd like to know or ask you now is, what are some of the challenges in treating dual diagnosis in this population?
One of the biggest challenges for us is that when clients present with severe mental health issues along with the substance abuse issue, and I'm talking those clients who may need inpatient services, we don't have the resources in this state for that. That's why I'm really happy to hear about the upcoming crisis center coming, because right now the resources are very slim for that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sabrina, you bring up a very important topic, and it's not just resources in the county, but resources across the state. I mean, Governor DeWine spent 20 minutes in his last 2 State of the States talking about substance use disorder and mental health. So it is a priority, and Sabrina did allude to most likely what will be a future podcast conversation about the Lorain County Crisis Receiving Center. So we'll let you know when those dates are. Is it necessary to treat both the mental illness and substance use disorder simultaneously, or can you treat one and not treat the other?
Well, it's great that you asked this question because when I first entered the field, the myth and belief was that you had to treat one and then treat the other. And it was usually typically, you need to address their substance abuse issues, and then we will address their mental health issues. And what we found over the years is that's absolutely not true. You need to address both at the same time.
So really, it's treating both at the same time and not prioritizing. And I think what we're seeing in our field is we're starting to see agencies and care delivery models that are starting to treat both substance use disorder and mental illness. It would be like, treating a diabetes and then not treating the coronary artery disease that goes along with it. They go hand in hand.
Right.
Well, I really appreciate you answering those questions and providing that information, but we do have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back to wrap up our discussion about dual diagnosis, so stick around.
I just had another dizzy spell and almost fell. I'm scared they will get worse and never go away.
You're not alone. 69 million people suffer from dizziness and vertigo.
I wonder if there's help.
There is. The Vestibular Disorders Association has a helpline at 800-837-8428 or visit liferebalanced.org.
Can you repeat that?
800-837-8428 or liferebalanced.org.
Sponsored by the Vestibular Disorders Association.
Get on board.
The water is open. It's time to go boating and fishing and leave stress in our wake. Feel the wind as we ride and a fish on the line. Reel in our first catch and feel the sun at our backs. It's get out on the water season. It's time to get on board. Find out where to get on board near you. Visit Take Me Fishing and Discover Boating to learn more. And please recreate responsibly.
Get on board. Get on board.
Now, we tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Family dinners, game nights, and holiday parties. It all happens at home. June is Home Ownership Month, and the Ohio Housing Finance Agency, Departments of Commerce and Insurance, want to help Ohioans realize the dream of home ownership. Visit myohiohome.org for more information on how to find a real estate agent, down payment assistance, and more. If you're ready to buy a home, help is available. Visit myohiohome.org. Home ownership. Make it a part of your future. Sponsored by the Ohio Housing Finance Agency and aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
All right, everybody, we are back for segment number 3. And did you know that the Nord Center employs over 275 people to carry out its mental health work in our community? We've got a terrific team, and we're often, even right now, looking for new team members. There's a wide variety of positions available, which you can visit and see. Actually, you can see by visiting our website, and that website is nordcenter.org/careers. And you can even apply online. Some of our programs are 24/7, and that 24/7 availability allows for some flexible scheduling for those of you that may have other priorities, such as schooling and family in your life. So again, we are extremely fortunate to have both Dr. Yvette Clemons, Chief Quality Officer at the Nord Center, and Sabrina Jones, the Chief Clinical Officer at the Licata Way, with us to shed some light on the behavioral health services and substance use disorder services to people with dual diagnosis of both mental health and substance use disorder in Lorain. So we're going to get right back into the questions, and the first question is going to go to Sabrina. What is the role of medication in treating dual diagnosis?
It is basically to help manage the illness, not to cure it. A lot of people think that medication is all they need and life will be wonderful, and that's not the case. The medication is just an aid to help. So there's a lot of other things. Counseling is important. Therapy, is important. Learning different techniques to manage the illness. Medication is just to help manage.
So taking medication alone doesn't necessarily mean somebody's going to be successful in dealing with their substance use disorder.
Exactly.
It's usually in conjunction with some type of therapy.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Clemons, are there support groups and resources available for individuals with dual diagnosis within our community?
It is. The Nord Center has a dual diagnosis group, and it came from a need that the counselors felt there was a missing piece. I can do the mental health part, but he keeps coming in under the influence. I wish there was a group that could tell him the impact of his alcohol use on mental health. And slowly but surely, that group was born out of just collecting that data and putting it back in the agency to figure out how to assist our clients. So sometimes the groups are called dual diagnosis, or you may hear MICA, M-I-C-A. So that's mental illness, chemical abuse. There's different names, but getting both educations at the same time, as Sabrina said, simultaneously is important for that holistic recovery approach.
Thanks, Dr. Clemons. And just as an aside, you'll learn that the behavioral health field has more acronyms than NASA. So I appreciate you explaining what MICA means. And for those of you that heard SUD, it means substance use disorder treatment. But we've talked about this at the top of our episode, and I want to spend a little bit of time on it now because there are family and friends that support those with dual diagnosis. So how can family and friends support someone that has been diagnosed with both mental illness and substance use disorder?
Great question, Don. One significant way is to get involved, to learn about the illness, to learn what their loved one is suffering with, to actually get involved in the therapy process. There are groups that educate family members on anxiety, depression, trauma. And it's just so important that family learn about the disease and learn about the symptoms and learn about the signs so that they're able to realize what's going on with their loved ones. And instead of blaming or becoming frustrated, actually learn how to help their loved ones.
So sometimes what we'll hear is that family and friends want to, for lack of a better term, force somebody to get care. What would be your recommendation if a family or friends notice that there is a behavioral health or substance use disorder, and how should they approach their loved one to start the road to either treatment, recovery, and so on? Definitely not by threats and force, but actually, again, educating themselves about the disease and educating. There is so much information out there about how to approach your loved one, how to sit down and have that conversation. Does your agency, and I'll throw this back over to Dr. Clemons, does either agency have resources that are dedicated specifically to family and friends? We have a family group for substance abuse. We don't have one specifically for mental health, but we do have a family group that is just for family. It's not, the clients do not attend that group. It is just for the family to educate them on the disease, to educate them on what their loved one is going through and how to help them, not enable, but at the same time support. Dr. Clemons, I want to go briefly to our last question. Are there any lifestyle changes that one can do to help with their dual diagnosis recovery?
There are, but right before we go to that, you talked about family and friends, and Don, one of the important things that the Nord Center has been doing is we've been training police officers in our community. So another acronym, CIT, Crisis Intervention Training, they come to the Nord Center to learn about the diagnosis, the symptoms, so that when they're in the community on a call, they can better respond to someone in a crisis who's suffering from co-occurring disorders. Now, you asked about lifestyle changes. Having police officers better educated to respond to crisis is a community lifestyle change. But closer to home, it would be exactly what Sabrina talked about, getting family involved, having them have a specific safe place to ask those questions. Well, what do I do if he's hearing voices? What do I do if I find marijuana? So, and the coping groups that Sabrina talked about will help the person begin to change their people they're around, the places that they frequent. So it is just a holistic effort. It's just not on the client anymore, their responsibility. We've taken this on as a community project here in Lorraine. Well, thank you both very much. And I don't know about our listeners, but I say every time, this half hour always flies by. And when we talk about issues that are prevalent within our community that sometimes people don't want to talk about. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day and coming and sharing information about mental illness and substance use disorder, co-occurring diagnosis, and the resources available. Thank you. Yep, it's been very, very enlightening. And at the Nord Center, our mission is to engage people in our community to achieve mental and emotional health through treatment, prevention, and advocacy. We accomplish that by sharing the importance of mental health and services available not only at our organization, but at organizations like the LICDC Way and other agencies in our community. We thank you for listening, and until next time, be well.
The proceeding was a paid informational program. The views and opinions expressed were not necessarily those of the staff, management, or advertisers of WOBL Radio.